I'm Rachel Horgan. Join me each episode as I sit down with a guest co-host covering the latest business stories in the Seattle area. We'll read the news so you don't have to. This is The Weekly. Welcome, everybody. I'm recording here at Top of the Tower Studios here at Columbia Tower Club. I'm so excited to be here. We've got a beautiful view, and I just wanted to say thank you to them for letting us record here. If I sound different, that's because I'm 37 now. My birthday was last week.
Woo! Happy birthday.
And I feel pretty proud about my age. I don't feel weird saying it out loud because I've been grateful enough to live until I was 37. I don't like when people don't want to mention their age. So
yeah, and what's
thought about that. 10?
Yes.
So I had my birthday. I went wine tasting in the Soto area at like the Patterson, Cardis, kind of that Soto wine tasting area. And then things went really off the rails that I can't talk about on this business news podcast, but I will tell you guys when we're not recording. I don't know if I'm an adult yet. And then I just got back from North Carolina. I slept for like 10 and a half hours getting back into West Coast time, but I was there for a client meeting. And yeah, I think those are my personal updates. The other thing is that it looks like we're going to have a new Seattle mayor. We're not going to get into it on this episode. We try to stay more in the business world and a little bit less in the politics. And there's a bunch of other podcasts that are covering it in more detail. So the voices that you hear, I'm so excited for this episode. We teased it in the last one a little bit, which is Meghan Turner, General Manager, and Madi McNamara, Director of Team Business Operations for the Seattle Torrent.
Yes.
I am so excited. So this worked out really well. I think we tried to time it where it was the release of your brand and schedule and all that. So before we get into our articles, kind of from each of you, why did you choose to get into women's sports and specifically PWHL?
You got it first.
All right.
Yeah.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I grew up playing hockey. Played hockey until I was 15 with the boys. So I started playing at 4. And I played with boys through the age of 15 and then transitioned over to the girls' game. And so I've kind of grown up in not the earliest days of the rise of women's hockey, but some of the earlier days. I think we're still just kind of on the ground floor of this thing. So played in the predecessor leagues to the PWHL as well. And so it was a no-brainer when I got the opportunity to come into the league in the inaugural season. And then obviously women's sports is just taking hold and only on the way up. So it was an exciting opportunity and something I definitely couldn't pass up.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, Maddie?
Former student athlete at UW who had to end up medically retiring and realized in college that I loved sports so much and figured out a way to stay working in it and kind of found that new side while I was in college, which was really exciting. Went to grad school and I love sports and I think it's a big passion of mine, specifically women's sports. I think women's soccer was like my first love, but then I realized the amazing avenue that all of the sports offered. And when I was in grad school, started with the sports commission. It started as an internship and then very quickly turned into a full-blown job and for about 5 years. And loved the tourism side of sports and loved being on that side. But towards the end, definitely realized that I was, what I wanted to do was with a franchise. And so it was a really amazing opportunity that started. And I'm super stoked to be here.
Yeah, absolutely. And I should let the audience know, Maddie and I have known each other a long time. So I was like, we're going to be adults. But Maddie knew me in my straight era. So that gives an indication of how long we've known each other.
Yes. It was your straight era, but we all saw the glass.
You knew before I did, for sure.
Yes.
But I'm so proud of you. When you got this job, I just was so stoked because I've seen you mature in this industry, and this is just the perfect fit. So I wanted to give a little bit of background on each of you. So Maddie, like you said, you worked at the Seattle Sports Commission for close to 5 years. You worked at Visit Seattle, and you played at UW. So this is a perfect fit for you. Meghan, you played professionally, as you mentioned, and then you also built a career as a consultant for PricewaterhouseCoopers. So you've got a little bit of that corporate background.
Yeah.
And then you were the assistant general manager of the Boston Fleet, another PWHL team, before coming to this role.
Yeah.
So is Seattle better than Boston? No comment.
No comment. Yeah. Sheesh.
I'm kidding. All right, we're going to talk about 3 different things today. So the first one is all about the PWHL. And every news organization is picking up all your stories. I was there at the launch, the PR launch, media release of your new name, new logo, and then also the season is starting, as I'd mentioned on the last podcast, November 21st is the first game, and 28th is the first home game. So the first section of this episode, and a good chunk of it, is going to be about that. And then we're going to talk about Barnes & Noble returns to downtown. And lastly, we'll talk about the Clipper is partnering with the Seahawks for something special. So, ladies, are you ready to get into it?
Absolutely.
Ready.
All right. Okay, so we're going to start first with the logo and the brand reveal. So it's the Seattle Torrent, which is, in my understanding, like a fast-moving water. Take us behind the scenes of how that all came to be. So first of all, who decides the logo? Like, who is it? A committee? You know, I worked in brand and marketing departments, so I know oftentimes there's a lot of players in that room. What was the process like for you? How involved were you guys, if at all?
Yeah, we started around the same time. I think, Meg, it would be helpful to kind of give just like a little bit of a background about how the league works, because it's a little bit different than the 7 other professional teams that are in the area for the major sporting leagues, because they're all independently owned. So, all you.
Okay. You might have to redirect me back to the original question.
Okay.
So, yeah, the PWHL is a essentially owned league. So we have one ownership group under Mark and Kimber Walter, and then we have an advisory board, but that ownership group owns all 8 teams. So there's a lot of, it's pretty unique because there's a lot of streamlining that happens at the league level, and then it filters down through the teams. So that includes marketing and branding is mostly centralized at the league level, and then we have folks in market obviously who execute that and bring it to life in Seattle here. So to answer your question, it's the brand identity was really league driven and with influence from folks in Seattle. Details, I probably am not the right person to talk to that, but they have a great team and great minds. They did 6 brand launches simultaneously last year, so adding 2 more this year. So they're pretty well versed in it. But yeah, they had some local influence. I know, and then but most of it was at the league level.
Yeah, that is definitely unique. So speaking, you said there's 2 new teams. We've talked about this before on the show, but there was 6 teams and now there's 8, right? We're adding Seattle and Vancouver.
Yeah.
So I have a jersey. My neighbor has season tickets, so him and I are going to be going. And you launched the jersey where it just says Seattle across the front and Vancouver just says Vancouver across the front. When I first saw that, I was like, those look really similar. And then I realized that was all on purpose. Why do the generic version first? Like, why not have the Torrent on the jerseys this season?
Yeah, so the first season for the inaugural 6, that's how the jerseys looked for all 6 teams. And as it's a centrally located kind of owned league, I think, you know, from a streamlining perspective to launch 6 teams at the same time, I think there was some efficiency there. I also think as we looked at the season, lead times for jerseys do take a long time.
Okay, I was going to ask about that. Somebody said that it takes, and I mean, obviously I know with some print.
Yeah, about 12 months. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So I think for us, and I know the league wanted to be really intentional and thoughtful about the logo and the brand. And so I think to decide on that when you're also deciding that 12-month lead time was just not necessarily realistic.
Right.
And so the jerseys for right now will always have a nod to the inaugural 6 and start that season that way.
Yeah, it's so smart. You don't want to be rushed with releasing your brand before the game. So I want to know from each of you, Megan, I'll have you go first. What is your favorite part of this brand? Like, is there something that stands out to you, or like something that really caught your eye, or...
Yeah, I actually really like the name.
Okay.
I like how it sounds, like the 2 consonants that round it out, and it's very like symmetrical. Maybe that taps into my OCD a little bit, but it is very symmetrical, and it has a hard start and a hard end, which I just like the sound of it, and I think it's got a bit of an edge to it. And then also I like the meaning behind it. But there's a lot of meanings and a lot of things we can tie in, but for me, the carving your own path piece of our branding is something that I think is really cool, because that's literally what we're doing here. And then we're also tying that into the landscape too, around the Seattle area. So the name for me is the good one.
I love it. What about you, Maddie?
Yeah, we were on the call together, and I think the meaning of it, when we heard kind of the manifesto about it, Meg was like, I'm ready to run through a brick wall, which was super exciting. I think it was that brand video, like as an athlete, I would be super excited as someone executing the fan experience in game. I was really excited about what it meant to be able to work with water and kind of really bring that to life inside the arena and kind of make the brand the experience as well. So I think, for us on an execution side from game presentation, the the world is our oyster, aka
Yeah.
water.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
Maddie will share some ideas
Yes.
that she has
Yeah.
that are pretty good.
Yeah.
You're gonna get
So,
later, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think that's what I was most excited about. I also think it's a really strong name, and then I was really excited that it kind of fit in the Seattle sports, I guess, brand toolkit. They're different and they're unique, but they're similar.
Yeah, they
as
all
well.
kind of align
Yeah.
together. Yeah. To your point about Torrent, I was thinking about SeaTac, our airport.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard this, but I recently heard them be like, "Welcome to SEA." I'm like, that is so hard, like with your mouth to say, right? So I don't know.
Yeah,
I was thinking,
PWHL Seattle for all
that's
summer.
yeah.
All summer. I was like, I
hard to say
can't
too.
wait till I don't have to say this acronym.
right, for real.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to switch from the branding a little bit more into the new season starting. So you'd mentioned, Megan, that the PWHL is all owned by one group. So help us understand who decides ticket pricing and package, like some of that.
That'll be more me.
I'm going to Maddie on this one.
Yeah. So we work really closely with Climate Pledge and the Kraken for ticket operations and execution. The strategy for what we've done this past summer has been my team. I have 4 account managers, and they've been really wonderful. And our focus is to get out and market. You know, not only are we selling tickets, we're educating people on who we are and what the team is, and also to the PWHL as it's 3 years old. I think what we found in a really successful season ticket member deposit right when we announced is that everybody here is really hungry for women's hockey. And I had a really strong
that was
showing.
strong. Okay.
Yeah, so it's been around for 100 years, and we've seen 2 really successful events in the past 4 years here with the Takeover Tour in January, and then the USA versus Canada rivalry series game, both really strong attendance. And so for us, it was really building on that momentum from all the people that have been working on that for years and years. So
What about like number of home games? Because I looked at it and I was like, oh, because my neighbor wanted me to commit to season tickets too. I don't know to 45 games because I was thinking it was going to be Kraken, but it's actually pretty important. Was it 16 home games?
13 home games,
13, yeah.
2 that are home at neutral locations, and then 15 away games.
And who decides like how many games and where they are? Is that from PWHL or is that you guys?
It's the league. It's
Okay.
actually the people that do it are like geniuses. I don't know how they put together this.
a big puzzle.
This schedule is a huge puzzle. You have like broadcasting.
Right.
There's really minute details that go into it where it's a cascade effect. If you make one change, it can change the entire schedule for all 8 teams. So props to the people that put together that schedule because it is.
Yeah.
And
It's a
I think
beast.
also, we're in a market there's 2 tenants already, main tenants at Climate Pledge Arena. And so figuring out when to play when those schedules have already been decided was also, I cannot imagine how much
Not to
brain
mention
power.
concerts.
Yes, concerts
too.
and
Yeah.
Seattle U men's basketball games, and then
right.
private events and all of the amazing things that Climate Pledge does. It's just I cannot imagine trying to do that schedule for
No.
so many other events.
AI can't do it either.
No, that's one hell they can't replace.
Okay, so Maddie, you and I were talking about this episode, and you were saying how your role really is kind of more of the business operations, and Megan handles, as a general manager, more stuff that's on the ice. Is that right? Okay. So I was thinking of some questions for the ice. So Megan, you named your new head coach. What stood out to you about Steve, and kind of what were you looking for in that role specifically?
Yeah, when Steve and I first talked, it just like we vibed, the vibe check is real, but I think we just were on the same page about how we wanted to approach our relationship, GM and head coach, and then how we wanted to build the organization, because it was really just us 2 at the start. I had some advisors that were really great in helping me, but they weren't able to be full-time staff with me. So I needed a partner to build the entire organization with, and Steve ended up being that person. He's easy to talk to. He's got a great demeanor. He also is super self-aware and really, just like really self-aware, really humble, very innovative in how he thinks. Really growth mindset focused. And he also, all of his questions that he was asking me were not like, what's my salary going to be? And, things like that. It was questions related to how the players were going to be treated and what the league and the role would look like for the players as he stepped into the role. So that to me demonstrated that he's really player focused and selfless. And so just from from a personality standpoint, I think that stood out. And then he has a great background in the men's game, which I thought was interesting. It's a little bit of a fresh perspective. There's a lot of coaches that come from, NCAA into the league. And I kind of liked that he had a different background.
Yeah, that's great. Anything to add, Maddie?
No.
Okay. I was going to ask about your metrics for success. So how do you define that? Because you've mentioned some of the stuff is run by PWHL. So what are you in charge of and looking at? So I'll ask both of you kind of what will feel successful to you after the end of the season? What are you looking at?
Yeah, from a business perspective, I think we can all acknowledge it's a really sports saturated market, which is really great. From a competition standpoint, we felt just incredibly welcomed by all of the teams, and especially with my background with the Sports Commission, knowing all of them, just an incredible, right when I got the role, constant messages of what can we do to help, how can we help. It's been really great. We've kind of been slowly rolling out into the market from the summer until now, and then with brand launch, trying to be everywhere as much as possible. I think as Seattle is a sports city, it's also an outdoor city, and it's also, there are a lot of people that don't know a lot about sports, which I think is, we're trying to be very accessible, and our games are going to be measured, with how successful we can integrate into the market.
So you're looking at like attendance numbers is something you're watching closely?
I think we're looking at all numbers, especially in the first year, because we don't have any. So it's just, so it's
anything's better than zero.
Yes. I think for us, I'm really focused on fan experience. I want our fans to have fun. I want it to be accessible. I want, also the education standpoint. I think a lot of fans in the area are fans of women's sports and don't necessarily know a lot about hockey. I have had to learn a lot in the past couple of months because it's not necessarily something I was playing or doing as a child.
Mm-hmm. But I will say it's really close to indoor soccer. Have you noticed that?
I have.
I
just told her that yesterday. I was like, I know those rules. Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of opportunities for us to engage with the market and in the community, and a lot of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Meghan, for you, I would assume wins.
I was like, this is an easy question.
Yeah. But is there anything like, I don't know, shots on net? What do you guys call it? Shots on goal?
Shots on goal.
Okay,
yeah.
so
SOG. Obviously like wins and losses, but at the same time, the record doesn't matter if you don't hold the trophy at the end of the year. So, obviously that's going to be our measure of success. Yeah, 100%. I think that's our goal, and it's going to be clear to everyone that that's our goal, and we're going to set our standards really high. So yes, obviously there's metrics that go along with that. We have some cool tools that give us really granular stats, and those I can like nerd out on it if you really want me to, but per position you have different stats. Like I like to look at what stats define success per the position. It's like a goalie stat is going to be different than a defensive stat and a forward stat. So the analytics piece of it is pretty cool. But then for me, it's also, have we created a culture within the team where people want to come back? We have some really good players on one-year contracts. How do we make it impossible for them to leave, right? Or the market that every player wants to come into to make my job at the end of the day really easy to convince people to come because it's been established that it's professional and we win and we have a good culture in the locker room and around the rink. So some intangibles there as well as just some nerdy analytics stats.
I love your holistic approach to leadership from both of you. So yes, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to our next article, which is Barnes & Noble returns to downtown. Woo, okay. Barnes & Noble.
So excited.
Are you?
Are
you a reader?
I love Barnes & Noble. I can't go in unless I've budgeted for it because I have 4 or 5 books. Yeah.
So you're not a Kindle girly?
I just really love turning pages.
Me too.
I know that sounds so nerdy, but I get really distracted if it's on a device. And I also am usually reading in the sun. It's one thing I can do to not be on my phone. And I don't like to have a screen if I'm doing that. It overheats.
Very fair.
Yeah.
Very fair. So. Okay, a little background on this article. Barnes & Noble's leased the space previously occupied by the North Face. The company website says they are slated to open in April. The leased building includes 2 floors and more than 14,000 square feet of floor area, so it'll be pretty big. And if you recall, Barnes & Noble was previously in that area. They left in January of 2020 when its location at the Pacific Place Shopping Center closed. And they also had closed another location in West Seattle a year prior. So this is kind of an exciting return to downtown. There are still 2 locations, one in Northgate and one in U District, but this is a good sign. John Scholes from Downtown Seattle Association is saying it's a really good, strong indicator of confidence in our city center. So that's what the article is about. Every time I think about it, I think of You've Got Mail. Is it You've Got Mail? Yeah, where she's like that small bookstore and the big one comes in. You know what I'm talking about? Oh, okay. You can do. Wow.
Sorry.
Never mind.
I know what it is, but I can't remember the details of the movie.
It's okay. That is the movie, but I still think there's room for these small bookstores. So
I love it. As somebody that was working downtown when the Barnes & Noble was there, I couldn't agree more with John. I also just think that going into bookstores, like the intentionality behind buying something in a store and then also buying a book, I think it's just really special. So
we'll do a little trip.
Yeah.
Okay, so I brought this article in. Obviously, it's a big story, but I want to use this as a way to talk about kind of how Seattle Torrent is going to be interacting with the community. Obviously, Barnes & Noble brings community, and we're talking about downtown. But can you share with us, you mentioned a little bit how you want to integrate into Seattle. Do you have any specific plans of any kind of program you're going to run or kids camp or, I don't know, any sort of involvement in the community? I guess, Maddie, you go first.
Yeah, we have a community engagement manager that has already kind of reached out to as many groups as possible and continuously just reaching out with both my background, their background, and then just the community's background with hockey. I think there's a lot of integration opportunities with us with, some of what the Kraken's already done, but then opportunities for us to create unique engagement opportunities or whatever it is within the community as we're continuing to kind of promote our brand and grow throughout the city and not just the downtown and Queen Anne area where the arena and practice center is, but also for us to kind of go across the county, which we're really excited about. There's not necessarily anything I can share at this moment.
Break news?
No breaking news. We did release our theme nights last week, and we have 4 Unity games this year, which we're really excited about. You can find more information on our website.
Since you bring it up, do you want to share more about what those are?
Yeah, so first one up is Indigenous Peoples Night, which is going to be in December, early December. The rest are next year with Black History Night, AANHPI Night, and then also Pride, which will be our last game of the season. And as a queer woman, I'm very excited for that as well, but also just really excited for us. It's an initiative the league started across all of the teams, so there will be different Unity nights throughout the league, so we're super excited.
So that's Unity nights, but aren't there other themes, like, because Mariners does like Dog Day and like, aren't there other random ones?
Unfortunately, we can't bring dogs. I already asked. I really wanted that, but, like pups and pucks, like so fun. Maybe in the future, but yes, we are doing Community Heroes, which is active and veteran status military, teachers, first responders, nurses. So we're super excited to work with groups and honor them that night. As we roll to next year, we have some fun giveaways as well. And then it's the first season we're doing bobbleheads for 2 of the players. So we're really excited about that. Yes. And then we also have a partnership with Barbie, and we're doing a Barbie belt bag giveaway towards the end of the season. And then Pride is with partnership with Elf Cosmetics. So there will be some activations.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for sharing all that.
Yes.
Meghan, as you think about integrating into the Seattle community, what comes to mind for you? What are your goals for Torrent? I know when you first came, you did Pike Place, you did the Space Needle, like you were everywhere.
I put them through the gauntlet.
Yeah, Maddie did put us through. It was good. Obviously, we want to get our players out there, but I think to complement all the good work that Maddie and the team are doing, from the hockey side, we can really focus on growing the game in the market. I think a really unique observation, I guess, that I've had out here is that the adult game is really big. In Boston, at least where I came from, it seems like it's mostly kid-focused, which we're obviously focused on the youth game as well, but I think it's a really cool opportunity to engage adults who maybe haven't tried hockey in the past. So from the hockey side, I think it's complementing Maddie and all the community work that her team is doing, and we can take that to the ice and grow the game. So we have 3 sheets that we're working with at Kraken Community Iceplex. So we work with the Kraken and the junior Kraken there, and then we'll have 2 to 4 camps and clinics throughout the year, do some off-season activations, and really try to get more people on the ice and make the game more accessible to folks.
And a very fun story that Meghan I can touch on.
Uh-oh.
No. This summer, it was so cute. We had adult camp with our other youth camps. And I had a season ticket holder come up and tell me that she bought pads and skates and started to learn how to skate the day we announced the team.
Oh my God.
So fun just to see like what professional sports can do for the community. And I think obviously a lot of it is about, if you can see it, you can be it, which is really amazing at the youth level, but also really fun for us to kind of think about ways to engage the adult community who hasn't necessarily had the opportunity to see it.
I love that. I feel like a lot of people don't focus on that, kind of adults and playing sports. So that's nice. One more on this, then we'll move on. But I wanted to ask, there's a nonprofit for, we just had Mari with the Kraken on, and she's the executive director for One Roof there, it's a nonprofit arm. Is that something you're thinking about in the future? Is that something that's totally out of your control? That's PWHL? What do you think about a nonprofit arm?
Yeah, it's kind of both. It's being worked on and definitely in the future, and it's a little bit more on the league side. And then I think the local teams will execute it on it once the league kind of forms that plan. And I think there's a lot of work that's already being done in the community, especially at takeover tour games. There's always some element of engaging with the community in those cities. So it's happening, and it is. I think the formal side is to come.
Okay, I've got it. All right, we're moving on to our last article. I just want to hang out with you guys all day.
Yeah.
Our last one is the Clipper partners with Seahawks for fans. So Seahawks announced this new partnership with FRS Clipper, which operates the fast ferry between Seattle and Victoria, British Columbia. The deal makes FRS Clipper the official travel partner for Seahawks Canada. And for reference, Seahawks has almost 4,000 Canadian season ticket holders, and they said between 20 and 25,000 people come for individual games. So there's a huge market there. Maddie, Clipper was one of your clients at Visit Seattle, right?
Yes.
Anything you want to add to this article?
No, I think, right when I was kind of started with the job, I was really excited about the opportunity to start with Vancouver as well, just knowing how successful both the Seahawks and the Mariners have set for show out for games from Canadian visitors. I think, there is a sports tourism side. Every match or every game or whatever event you're doing is usually 2 to 3 hours, right? So for fans, how else are you filling the day? And as somebody with a tourism background, there's a lot of things to do with our 2-mile wide corridor downtown, which is one of the smaller in the country for such a large city. There's a lot to do. And so I'm always thinking about ways to engage fans on game day outside of the game where we can, be mutually beneficial for each other to cross promote.
Yeah, that's smart. Well, so all the PWHL teams, all the other 6 are kind of on the East Coast-ish, or I just say like over there. And then we got, I think I called like Chicago East Coast, and they're like, it's not. I'm like, I don't know, it's over there.
Yeah, it's east of us.
It's east of us, that's all that matters. But we've got Vancouver and Seattle over on this side. So do you think, I guess kind of 2 questions. Do you think we're going to get the Canada audience to come down when they have their own team? And then my other question is kind of how do you think being kind of the sole 2 over here on the West Coast is helpful because we've got this whole market we can tap into for audience? Or do you think it's not helpful because everyone that's into PWHL is like over there and can forget about us? So I guess kind of what are your thoughts on our location with Canada? Megan, do you or whoever wants to
go ahead?
I can go.
Yeah.
I do think we'll get fans. I know we're sending fans up to Vancouver. I would imagine they send fans down. I just experienced in the last 2 years in the league, you get fans that travel for the games. Okay. So especially Canadians really love hockey, and we're going to make sure that folks in the Pacific Northwest of the United States also love hockey. And I think it's really great for us to have basically the entire West Coast of the U.S. that we can kind of call, the Seattle Torrent is the team for the entire West Coast. And we have some players from California too. So I think it will be cool to make that connection. So I do think it's pretty advantageous for us. Yeah, everyone's over there, Minnesota and East. Right. So I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking about it. Anything?
Yeah, I think on the growth towards the West Coast side, it's really, as somebody that's a West Coast sports fan, when games start at primetime East Coast, it's still during work hours. So I think there's a really great opportunity for us across the West Coast, but also just in the market to engage with everyone in that kind of primetime area. As a former bartender, it's also really exciting to be able to show women's sports during that prime time and not at random off hours, which is something that we've been given in the past. So I think for us, we do have a lot of 7 p.m. games, which is really exciting. And then I also think as we're looking ahead towards some of our away games as well, there's some fun opportunities to engage with that East Coast market too.
Yeah, well said. This article also talks about Seahawks and their partnership with Clipper and all of that. And something, people have asked me about to ask you is your connection with the other teams. So Kraken, obviously, how are you two working together? And then if you want to add in some about the rain and the storm, how are you partnering with some of these other big teams here in Seattle?
You're mostly aligned with Kraken, I would say, from literally being in the building most of the time. So I'll let you go with them, and I'll answer the other one.
Okay, sounds good. We practice out of Kraken Community Iceplex, and then we're obviously playing out of Climate Pledge. So really aligned and adjacent to the Kraken. It's been a really good partnership so far, top down. They're very supportive and excited for us to be here. So it's good to see them every day. Honestly, as you're just passing by, we're really starting to get connected holistically. Yeah. I feel like not just at the leadership level. So it's been a really warm welcome from the Kraken.
You have, group meetings? Do you brainstorm on things together? Are you collaborating really closely, or is it more like they're there to support if you?
I think probably more so on the business side than the hockey side. Okay. Yeah, we're definitely working with, we work with the marketing departments for both of them, just given that we're playing on a Climate Pledge and then ticketing. I would say they're really, really, really supportive, but also, we're trying to find unique ways to engage with audiences because we're not, we're new. So
it's not the same, right?
Yes.
What works for the Kraken may not work for you guys.
Exactly.
So kind of take what works and doesn't.
Yeah. And I think, the other teams, the Rain and the Storm being women's professional teams, and also, my former coach is the GM for the Rain, and cool. Yes, Leslie's GM, and then my cousin is one of works for the Sounders in the Rain as well. There's definitely some overlap there, but I also think just from a women's sports perspective, it's kind of just immediate support from the start. So we're excited to work with them in different ways, especially given that our seasons are flipped. So there's ways to engage.
I was gonna say, I don't really see them as competition. The vibe that I get is rising tide lifts all boats. I think everyone's been so supportive that I've seen. I don't really see the Kraken or Seattle Rain or Storm to be competition. Do you guys see that as
No.
fans might be going to one versus the other?
Well, no, I think it's Seattle is a newer market to me, obviously, but it does seem that everyone lifts each other up and is in it together. So it is really, really welcoming. And even from the hockey side, the hockey ops department at the Kraken have, they did this expansion just a few years back, basically. So they're pretty supportive in helping me get up to speed too, and just giving me some insight as to how they approached expansion. I don't think there's any competition. I think it's just good partnerships all around.
Yeah, women supporting women.
Yeah. And I also think, with my background as well with the Sports Commission, I find it so, so wonderful to work in a city in sports because I think it's one of the most welcoming when you're talking about how the teams work together. Every single time that there's a start of a season or a playoff, there's something on social media from the other teams. I think it's really just special. And we're also a big city that's somewhat small and compact. And, a lot of people have backgrounds working for the other team. So it's always...
That's true.
Yeah. So it's sharing ideas while also keeping them unique as well, but nothing but support from it.
Yeah, I feel that way about hotels. So kind of all live around. Yeah.
Yeah.
Last question on this, and then we'll do our lightning round. You mentioned a few, but are there any other partners that you can announce or share today?
Yeah. So the ones I mentioned earlier for our theme games, and then we also have one with WaFd Bank, which we're really excited about for our kids and youth hockey day. I believe in April. I can't remember the specific date. I'm very focused on our home opener on the 28th, but no, we're really excited. They've been a great partner so far. We have a lot coming down the, road with them, and then constantly working to engage with community partners and see where the water takes us.
Oh, there it is.
So if anybody's listening, they're open to partnerships. So email them, reach out. I think this is just the beginning. That's a cool part. It's almost like a startup vibe, and you guys can kind of do whatever you want. I love that.
Yep.
Let's close out with my lightning round question, which is, what do you do to get motivated when you don't feel like doing your job?
Oh, God.
Those days where I just don't feel like it.
I think I probably just take a walk and go get a coffee. That's pretty boring answer. Or I'll get in a good workout.
Okay.
I'm not a morning workout person, but if I plan out my day, I'm okay, I'm going to work out or do something active. That'll usually motivate me. But man, yeah, it's just tough.
It's been a common answer. I was at the end of the year, I think I'm going to bring everybody's answers together, but I think a lot of people say movement is really helpful. What about you, Maddie?
Yeah, I think endorphins. I have a cat and her name is Reddy, and I kind of sit with her and take a screen break and just feel her love, honestly.
Hey, that's good.
And just like kind of remind myself that I'm okay. But I also, as somebody that's worked in sports, I kind of just remember that what I'm doing is really cool.
Well, what you do is you just rewatch the Torrent launch.
Yeah, right?
And you're like,
Right?
all right, cool.
I know. The first time I watched that, I cried, and I continually am like, oh my God.
Yeah, so fun. Yeah. Well, thank you both so much for taking the time and sitting down with me. I do want to say that we are recording at the Top of the Tower Studios here at Columbia Tower Club. We've got this incredible view. The fog just lifted.
Yes.
So I really appreciate them letting us record here. If you're interested in recording, you can reach out. I'll put the information in my show notes. So Meghan, Maddie, thank you once again. And everyone can get their tickets. November 21st is away. And November 28th is here at Climate Pledge.
Yes.
Yes.
And still lower bowl available, but trending towards a lot of opportunities. And we just are really excited for a historic night of our first game ever.
Me too. I'll be there.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been The Weekly, with production assistance from Nick Patry. If you liked what you heard, rate us and write a review on Apple Podcast or Spotify. We love listener feedback, so if you have any story suggestions, comments, or complaints, email us at info@theweeklyseattle.com. Make sure to check back next Sunday for the latest local business news. We'll see you next time.